everyone. Unfortunately, Alan's stolen my opening line where I was going to ask you guys to put your hand up, whoever is not on LinkedIn, but it's good to see already that everyone in the room is. So just to reiterate, everyone's using it as a tool, whether it's at an exec level or down at the consultant level, is that right? Good. And in terms of the split that we have in the room, in terms of sort of operational consultants versus exec code, can I just see a show of hands for the consultants in the room? Okay, great. So about half, so about 50-50. So I work in the hiring solutions part of LinkedIn, which is working with recruitment firms and search firms to look at how we can help them in 3 key areas. And LinkedIn help companies recruit better, sell better, and market better. And what I wanted to do today is to show you a couple of slides around our members and then talk to you a bit about what you can do for free on the platform to start to enhance your experience further. Now, we're a 9-year-old company, and we floated on the New York Stock Exchange, or IPO'd, as my American colleagues say, last May. We're going through a really strong stage of hypergrowth. That, you may well have seen this on the news articles yourself, but our platform is becoming ever an ecosystem, if you like, rather than just a database. So I want to talk to you today about how we can interact with those members and to ultimately get you a better response going forward. We are a members first organisation. Now, whether that's John Smith out on the street, or me as a member, or you guys as a member, we always put our members first. And our mission statement right back from day one, when our CEO, Reid Hoffman, set the business up, is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and more successful. In terms of our research, to give you an idea of the professional workforce around the globe, we've identified there's about 3.3 billion people in work across the globe. In terms of professionals, the types of people that we want to see on LinkedIn, is there's about 640 million people around the world. Now, at the moment, you might have seen our latest earnings updates from the last quarter, but we've now announced that we're up to 175 million members on the platform. We're seeing approximately 2 to 2.5 new members every single second join LinkedIn, which is just incredible for me to think. You just stop and think every time I breathe, there's another 2.5 new people. And they're emerging all around the world. Of course, we've got the coverage in the States, in EMEA, but big regions for us at the moment, the emerging markets, India, Asia, and the Pacific region. And this just really reiterates what I was saying, 175 million members. That's actually considerably more now because we're getting about 5 to 6 million members on the platform at any one time. In terms of a sort of global reach for you guys, do you all particularly just do Europe, or is anyone here sort of working across the globe? Great. Any particular new regions, Ray? Japan. Great. Okay. We're now as a business in approximately, I think, 18, 19 native languages. So we understand to really give our members the value, we need to look at those regions and effectively grow in their language. And of course, that gets translated back into English for us. But in terms of the UK, you can see here that the stat is now 10 million members on the platform. And we released this figure 3 weeks ago. Now, 10 million members is doubled in the last year and a half for LinkedIn. We had about 4.5 million members 2 years ago. And we now know that that's 80% of the UK's professionals. So it's great to see that we're growing. And as you saw from the slide a moment ago, we haven't conquered the world, and we certainly don't think we have. But of course, we're trying to do everything we can to encourage these professionals to come onto the platform. And they come to the platform for a number of reasons. Believe it or not, they don't actually come to the platform to get a job. I know it's a common myth with some recruiters. They come to find out information about businesses. So I want to touch on a few areas on how you can really interact with these guys better to help your team ultimately be more productive and more successful. So 20 years ago, back in the day, we all had the Rolodexes in recruitment. That's obviously gone. In terms of newspapers and print, we're seeing lots more in the digital side of things now. So LinkedIn's really become an aggregation site for different information. So first of all, Members come because they want to find people and they want to be found. The number one thing that happens on LinkedIn is people looking at each other because we're all there to connect. But actually they come a bit further. They want to find new people as well, not just the people they went to uni with or worked with, that are looking at new connections for both business and perhaps personal pleasure as well in terms of groups. Insights is a new emerging area for us. So, 5 years ago, first thing I did when I got into work in the morning was gone to BBC News, gone to Sky News, check the news aggregation sites, that type of thing. And actually that used to take me maybe half an hour. It might have been an excuse at the time to kill a bit of time, but I was keen to go through the news stories, see what's happening in the industry, see what's happening with potential prospects or with customers, so I could share that information with them and effectively be a thought leader, one of the terms that we've heard earlier. But now we're actually seeing that members come to LinkedIn to find out information. And this is on their homepage, but also the key area for us is LinkedIn Today, which is a news aggregator portal. And I'm going to touch on a bit more about that later. But also the groups. And is everyone here, or it might be easier to ask, anyone here not in a group on LinkedIn? Brilliant. One person. So that's a good sign. So let's have a chat at the end and we'll have a look for some areas for you. The way technology's changed, we're here at a technology conference today. Mobile is a huge growth area for LinkedIn. So we've got the new iPad app, if anyone's got an iPad here, but pretty much every major platform we have some sort of application. And that's great for those times where, as much as we want it to be as professional as possible and do all of our research for a client, our diaries are too busy. So I don't know about you, but I've had times before where I've been in the back of a cab on the way to a meeting thinking, sugar, I need to do a bit of research about this person. So using the mobile apps not only allows your team to be mobile and find out information about LinkedIn, it's also a huge value stream for our members to be able to access the platform from a mobile site. Mobile sites are something that we're ever developing, and actually as a business, we're still a young business. We're only a 9-year-old business, so we're an entrepreneurial type business. Anyone in the company that thinks they can improve something, there's massive value that goes into that. So for example, if you guys have ever got any ideas on what you would like to see better, have a look at some of the LinkedIn groups that you can join to effectively recommend that. I think you're going to struggle to see this slide, so I'll talk over it very quickly, and this will be in a pack if anyone wants this at the end, but it just reiterates some of the areas why members come. So we've got share ideas, communicate, make decision, launch ideas, whether that's business ventures or thought leadership, solve problems. But again, going back to what I was saying at the start, they don't come onto the platform necessarily to find a job. We're going to touch on now about passive audiences. I'm a passive candidate. I'm not looking for a role. I don't have a CV up to date. But of course, if the right role was presented to me in the right way, then it's going to get my interest. But it's about how you conduct yourselves as recruiters and your team to effectively integrate with those types of people. There's only about 10 to 20% of professionals looking for roles. And of course, being a member platform that we are, we know that there's about 80% of our members who are like me, and perhaps most of you in this room, who are a passive candidate. You're not looking for a role. And as I keep saying, they're a different type of person to build a relationship with. So I do want to touch on some of these areas, but let's just have a quick look at the differences between active and passive. So active candidate, ready to apply, might take the first job offered to them, responds quickly, looking for opportunities. Passive, completely different, don't have a current CV, may listen to opportunities, wants to seek additional information, and will move for the right job. It's not a fastest finger first type scenario. And now we start to interact with passive people. We're trying to coach recruiters on this, and we use what's called a bar analogy. Just bear with me on this one for a second, but I hope you understand it. What we're seeing is there's lots of recruiters that, well, not lots, but some recruiters who effectively get barred from LinkedIn for a period of time or have poor response rates in terms of when they're trying to connect with people. And typically when you start to drill down and have a look at that information to work out why that is, there's always a common theme. And that common theme is a recruiter's just asked to connect with someone. That person doesn't know who they are. Whether it's a candidate or a customer, they don't know who you are. So there's a very slim chance they're effectively just going to connect with you. So you have to interact with them and build a relationship with them first. And whether that is finding a relevant news article that's right for them, finding a group, or finding any information you think, or perhaps leveraging a contact, but giving them something tangible via a connection request rather than just steaming in. Now it's the same with jobs. You know, if you look at groups, if you just go into a group and try and post a job, you're not going to have a good response. And just to sort of visualise this, the bar analogy, you know, you walk into a pub, you walk up to the bar, you hear some guys talking about football, and you think, great, I'm going to barge in that conversation. I'm a recruiter, do you want a job? And of course they look at you and think, what? And of course you haven't had the right impact because you've steamed in. Whereas actually if you're at the bar and you heard them talking about football and you're buying a beer and you said, oh yeah, I saw that game in the weekend, and started having a conversation with them, and the conversation flows on to what do you do, I'm in recruitment, well, that's really interesting because I'm a HR director at Lloyds Banking Group or whatever. So the point, just to reiterate, is you need to try and build relationships with people, whether it's customers or candidates, before you just ask for connections or before you just throw a job down, you know, effectively their throat. A couple of best practices for how to hire passive candidates on LinkedIn. We've obviously got the jobs, the referrals. Passive people are great for referrals. But again, coming back to that information, so in the blue side we can see here that careers pages, employee information, they want to find out information about your company, as well as engaging the audience by giving them relevant information, but also updates, and certain updates about your consultants, because at the end of the day they're connecting and want to find out information about John in the corner, why is he great, what's he done, but also about you as a company. And it's a great opportunity for you to serve relevant information to your target audience. And again, just on the passive side, exclusivity, reduced counter offers, more on the relationship side, and a great source of referrals. So let's talk about how you guys can improve your experience for free. Anyone seen this before? 2, 3, 4, great, 5, fantastic. This is one of our mind maps that we have on LinkedIn. Now, if anyone wants to have a look at some of the additional tools we have on LinkedIn, if they Google LinkedIn Labs, there'll be a number of different areas that you can have a look at. And this basically is a mind map of an individual's connections, and it allows them to see quite quickly the types of people they're connected to. So you can start to have a look at your data to see, you know, actually am I connected to the right people in my industry, or is it actually I'm connected to all the people I used to work with? So for example, these colours, us in the centre, current company, there's a strong connection there. Past company, again, strong. Clients, school, friends. You can tailor this report to yourself, but the point is here, it allows you to see quickly, in this example, actually I'm not connected to enough of my customers. I'm not giving them any information about my business. So using the LinkedIn Labs tools allows you to just grow your network and allow you to sort of make those data-driven decisions a bit quicker. Professional brand. Who here does not have a photo of themselves on their LinkedIn profile? A couple of you, thanks for being honest. People without a photo, or even with the company logo, will not have the same impact as other people who have a photo. So what we strongly recommend is getting a professional photo. Now luckily today we're sponsoring some of the photos, so I'd say the guys that don't have a photo, please come along. But I just want you to think about this again. If you're the HR director of Lloyds Banking Group, or if you are a passive candidate and you get reached out to by one of your consultants, they want to check you out first. They want to make sure you're genuine, you're human. So going back to having a photo creates a much bigger impact. People who don't won't be as have the same impact, but also it can look a little bit suspicious to people if you don't have that. Headline, detailed history, customized URL. So here what we can see is on you can't actually see it on the screen, but there's an opportunity, sorry you can, there's an opportunity for you here for Clara and one of our colleagues, is her personalised LinkedIn URL. So if you haven't done this, your LinkedIn URL will be something like linkedin.com/a number, which is your member number. Okay, if you want to promote this on your business cards or on your email signatures, there's an opportunity for you to create your own LinkedIn URL. So again, it just gives you an opportunity to market. But also these profiles are about your team, not just about your company. So it's really important that you empower the guys to get the profiles up to date, to talk about why they're great, what they've achieved. You know, people are looking at them to see information, so let's find out about them. But of course, it's the great opportunity for you to promote your brand going forward. The better the profiles are, the better impact you'll have overall. You can take it one step further by adding other applications like SlideShare, box, those sort of things. So I'd encourage you to have a look at the application side of LinkedIn. It's separate to LinkedIn Labs, but it's on your settings screen where you can add certain information. You know, box.net I use personally. I put all my PDF data reports up there for my clients to see. SlideShare, another fantastic opportunity for perhaps you guys, for your team, to put a slide deck or a video or whatever it may be about the company, about what you do. But it keeps going back to this, you know, this is your shop window. These are people looking at you. This is your chance to promote your team's brand, but also your brand as a company. Does anyone use the Outlook social connector for LinkedIn? Couple, fantastic, okay. So here's another tool that you can use that you might want to, you might not want to, but this effectively is an add-on for Outlook. And what this will allow you to do is when you receive emails into your work email address from people, it will look at their LinkedIn profile for information. So first of all, you can see a picture, that might be of use to you, but also what we can see is their latest updates. So for example, it would show Alex and it would say what his latest sharing news article was, what his latest update was. So it just allows you to broaden your reach. And of course, if you're dealing with new prospects or new customers or new candidates, it's going to pull their information through. So you can tie that in with your LinkedIn profile and help you grow further. Another area is an address book importer. So, you know, I'm not sure if anyone still uses Outlook or their address books where they have lots of their historical information, people they perhaps haven't spoken to for a while or used to work with, that type of situation. Here you're able to effectively upload that address book and then it will port that information into LinkedIn and it will find those contacts for you. So it's up to you to decide if you want to ask them to connect. So again, it's not a mandatory thing, but it might help you in your own situation or your team's situation to try and grow their reach further. Status updates. One thing I personally would say is that when consultants put looking for a job, anyone want this job as a status update, although it's a good thing that it's going out, effectively it only goes to their team's connections. Okay, so the type of people we're connected to typically are going to be our clients and our prospects. So if we're always being noised on the platform saying urgently required, need someone tomorrow as a status update, I don't think you're going to have the great impact. So what I'd encourage your team to do is to start to look at the news site, which I'll show you in a moment, but also to do their own personal updates about what they're doing that week or if you've got a new client on board. But also, secondly, as a business owners, you want to think about promoting your company. So everyone on the platform would have, someone on the platform in your company would have admin rights for LinkedIn, okay? And we can look at that after if anyone's got any queries on that. But effectively what that would do, it would allow that person to send out company updates information via your company. So here we can see Allen Recruitment, which is a consultancy in Ireland. And whether it's just a thought of the day that some people do or relevant information about your company, this will go out to people who are following you. Okay, and the people who are following you as a company will always be four types of people: candidates, peers, prospects, and customers. So it just again allows your brand to go out and information you share about your updates. So we'd really encourage your team to be thoughtful about their own personal updates, but also really start to promote your brand as a company by pushing them forward. LinkedIn Today. One of my favourite bits of the site. Has anyone not seen LinkedIn Today, which is the news aggregator site in the room? A couple of people, great. When you next go into LinkedIn, you'll see in the top screen, as soon as you go in your home screen, there'll be relevant news information that it served you. Click on LinkedIn Today and go into it and actually effectively start to tailor this for yourself and set this up. So this is a news aggregator site. It's been around for about a year. Okay, it's becoming very popular now in terms of the media industry. And we've got our own editors who look at the web and the news and effectively port that and aggregate it into LinkedIn. Then effectively then serve that to you as relevant information. And you can tailor this. It will be defaulted to whatever industry that you're in. But you can go in and you can tailor the types of staffing and careers, internet recruitment, banking, technology, whatever it may be as an industry. So that information is going to get served to you, both on your home screen, but also when you go into LinkedIn Today. And this just goes back to that thoughtful approach with candidates, also with business development targets. You know, hey, Mr. HR Director, I saw this news article today, whatever. And it just allows you to approach them in a different way rather than just asking to go in and connect. So have a look at LinkedIn today, tailor it for you, start to use it and see if it's something that's making you guys have a better impact across the platform. Next is Signal, and Signal's hidden, not on purpose on the site, but it's one of these bits of LinkedIn where unless you really go into the area you won't see it. But Signal is found under the news section of LinkedIn at the top toolbar. Now what Signal does is it stops the issue of where perhaps you haven't been on the platform today and you've missed lots of status updates from people you think are relevant. And instead of going all the way through your history to try and find the updates from that particular person, you can use Signal and put a company name in or a person's name in. And effectively what that does is it will filter all of the noise out and only give you the information that they've effectively updated. So it's good if you want to have a look at what your prospects are talking about or your customers are talking about, or even perhaps some of your peers. So it just allows you to hone in very quickly at a particular person or a particular company's update so you can see what's going on. And hopefully that will give you back a little bit of time if you are ever in that situation where there's too much noise coming through. Polls are great. Polls are important as well. Polls get members coming to you and allows you to effectively get lots of feedback from those members. And this is one that I really like. This is one that a guy, David at Hayes Banking, did. And he asked members on the platform about interaction with recruiters. And actually, you know, the results in this are saying 95% of the members don't mind hearing from recruiters. But it goes back to that approach. How do you approach them? So using polls is great to share with your customers, your candidates, but also perhaps just using it as a tool internally. You know, the more polls that you can get on that are relevant, the more information you're going to have coming back to your team. And ultimately, the more traffic you're going to have and more brand awareness about your company. Groups. A couple of key things that we say here with groups. I think everyone on the platform can join up to 50 groups at any one time. And we stop at 50 because we're trying to keep it competitive and we don't want spam, and actually we want stuff that's relevant and thoughtful. So what we say to consultants, especially billing consultants, is join lots of groups, okay? Participate in a few, and also we recommend you run one. If you're a member of 40 groups, there's no point you having 40 opportunities to interact with those groups because that's a waste of your time. Okay, so it's about being thoughtful, but also staying on top of relevant information. And a tip for anyone, when they join the groups, there's opportunities for you to change your settings on those groups to stop the daily digest of emails or the weekly digest of emails. So if anyone's ever joined a group and been put off because they're receiving too much traffic through, that's a quick fix. That's on the settings within the group, so you can change that. Okay, groups are great to promote your brand, great for thought leadership. You know, if the AWR that happened a few years ago, there was lots of different recruiters talking about it in the industry, giving their own steer, but also it's great to really sort of generate customers and candidates. And again, it just demonstrates your brand and demonstrates that you're thinking about these people before effectively just, spamming them for information. Following companies, we talked about that, so everyone can follow companies, and when you follow a company, I'd really recommend that when you get back to base, you ask your consultants to follow all their prospects and their customers. Any sort of status updates from the company that comes out, okay, so let's pick on Lloyds Banking Group again. If they're pushing out information on the platform, you're going to know about it. But also you're going to know about it when people join that company. So if I'm looking at Lloyds Banking Group and I've just seen a new HRD's joined, okay, and I work with Lloyds, but this person's joining a different division, then I'm already aware that this person might be a prospect for me. So it might be the case that I drop them an email saying, hey, I work with John in the corner. Welcome to the Lloyds Banking Group, and it'll be really good to talk to you in a few weeks. But just following companies allows you to stay on top of them. And what we can see here is 88% of members said they would follow companies. Okay. We've touched on the apps, but that, again, being mobile is very important. Okay, for your team on the way to work on the train, on the way to work on a bus, wherever it may be, it just allows them to have that reach of people. Also with the iPad app, if anyone's using the iPad app, you don't have to necessarily use that app. It works perfectly fine on Safari or Google Chrome as if you're using your own PC, laptop or Mac. Okay, so again, I don't know about you, I see it's flattering for me because I work for the company, but on the way into London every day, I see lots of people on the train with the LinkedIn app, and everyone's communicating, sharing information, and going forward. And if that means it's taking 10 minutes giving you guys 10 minutes back rather than spending that 10 minutes when they come in, then hey, that's 10 more minutes that your team can spend building relationships with customers and with candidates. Showcase your brand. This is a free area of the site which I would encourage you all to think about for your businesses. So when you go onto a company, this is Leap 29, there's a services tab or products and services tab on that company. And what that allows you to do is to build out the different divisions of your company, or perhaps the different regions of your company, to start to promote your brand going forward. And it allows you to put these banner ads in. So this is Leap 29's, and you can see they're split between the 3 key business units. But of course, again, it's brand awareness. So if people are looking at your company, doing research about your company on LinkedIn, there's an opportunity for you to promote yourselves better. And just to give you a stat, there's only 1 in 4 people that will actually leave LinkedIn to Google your company. People like to stay within the platform they're in, so make sure that you serve them that relevant brand awareness and that relevant information to promote their brand. And just to finish up, we've heard quite a lot about data today and making data-driven decisions, and that's absolutely imperative for us at LinkedIn. And one of the opportunities we're giving you guys in the audience following today is to have a free LinkedIn lab, which effectively is where we look at the data that sits behind LinkedIn on your team and your company, and we can start to allow you that information for you to make those data-driven decisions. And at an enterprise level, which I'm not talking about today, which is our highest engagement with staffing firms, this is the type of data we use for KPIs, but also to track activity. So to give you an example of this, here's a recruitment company, and what we can see as an overview is they've got 37 people in the business, their unique connections are 51,000, blah, blah, blah. It's called Merlin. It's an internal tool that we have. We'd never, ever give access to external people because it's an internal thing with all that data. What we are able to do is we're able to share this data with you as a company to help you with those decisions. This one's ultimately important for me. I've picked one of the larger recruiters today to show this information. But this slide shows 1 month in August. On the left-hand side, just to reiterate, these are the people on LinkedIn that are coming to look at the consultants in that business profiles. So again, that traffic is going to be candidates seeing a job posted or received a message, look at you first thing. Peers up against you in a bid, or actually, what's it like to work for your company? What information can I find out about your company? Customers and prospects. And here we can see is on your right-hand side, we have the functions of these unique people coming. In the middle, we have the companies, and on the left, we have the countries. Now, this data is really important for me, not only as a salesperson, but also I'm enthusiastic about business development. I love business development. And the amount of times I give this information to MDs, and they say, wow, Microsoft, 85 unique people come to look at me. That's really interesting, because we don't work with Microsoft at the moment, but we're really trying to. So here the data is saying, okay, you're trying to work with these guys, you're being proactive, they're coming back to you. So it goes back to looking at how we can get our houses in order, in terms of getting the products and services tab built up, in terms of getting the employees' profiles looking squeaky clean. But this is the type of information we're happy to share for you for free on your company, and would recommend that I'll be around at the end of this. If anyone wants to talk to me about arranging that, then we can get that sorted for you.